Welcome back to another week of Instigating with Clarkey and Drury. Glad to be back here. Glad to have Clarkey back. And he was away for a very good reason. We're going to touch on that. But first, we got to dig into a guy that we love having on here to talk baseball. We turn to this guy when we want to talk baseball, especially about the Blue Jays. And they are a hot topic for all the wrong reasons this week. Our friend, Toronto Sun beat reporter, Rob Longley. Longley, how are you, buddy?
Pretty good. Pretty quiet week around these parts, guys. Not much to talk about, really.
No. Well, there's no changes, so there's nothing to talk about, right?
Exactly. No playoffs, no changes, no nothing.
No.
Well, yes, there were some minor changes and a couple of fall guys on the Blue Jays coaching staff, notably assistant hitting coach Guillermo Martinez, who has been ousted, along with an assistant pitching coach and a couple other members of this elongated coaching staff. But really what everybody is focusing on, obviously, Rob, and you were there live in person to take in whatever that was on Wednesday morning that we saw from team president and CEO Mark Shapiro and general manager Ross Atkins. We've talked a lot this year about how unpopular these two guys are among this fan base. Rob, I think that they have went through the bedrock to below rock bottom in popularity after Wednesday.
Yeah, I think they've pretty much reached the zenith of their unpopularity, and it's been a long and winding road to get there. It's I mean, a lot of it is performance based, obviously, but so much of it is just the way that they carry themselves, in my opinion. It just seems to be a disdain for the fan base, a disdain for the media, this sort of aura about them that they're mightier and smarter and wiser than anyone else in baseball. And it just, I suppose that's fine if you're running the New York Yankees and you're winning pennants every other year or so, and you're a World Series contender most years. But when you've been to the, you can't make the playoffs, you lose, you win 74 games. You got one of the highest payrolls in Major League Baseball and one of the worst records. They kind of are getting what they deserved at this point. And it was quite a show. I'm sure there's lots of talking points that we want to get to on it, but it was they certainly didn't win over any people on Wednesday at their dueling press conference, especially when team president Mark Shapiro came out and said, look, we still believe we're a good team. We entered this season thinking that we were going to win the American League East, and we stand by that. Like, what do you say to that? Like, seriously, what do you say to that?
Well, I guess what you can say is look at your record, and you're a stats guy. Obviously, you have puppets down in the clubhouse. Before we dive into what's going on and what happened at the press conference, where's Eddie Rogers in all this? Like, as our good friend Shaky Hunt would say, they must have pictures of this guy. Like, is this guy? Do you ever talk to this guy? Is this guy real?
He never talks to anybody. He's just sitting up there counting his money. Clarkey, listen to me.
No, I know.
Clarkey, listen to me. Last series of the season, 3 games, Florida Marlins, the 100-loss Florida Marlins.
Yep.
99,520 people came to that building.
Fan appreciation.
99,000 over 3 games for a team that was going to win 74 games against a team that lost 100 games, going in there and buying $18 beers. Who cares if they win? The Toronto fans are living up to their reputation.
They are. They really are. And I didn't go. I refused. Ryan and I kept talking about going. I'm like, I'm not going. I'm not going to a game. I'm not giving them a cent of my money.
I talked you off a ledge. I talked you off a ledge, Clark. You were adamant about trying to go because there were some tickets that were pretty reasonably priced. You're like, we should just go. And I was like, I'm not going down there.
No,
I'm not going down there.
The first level seats, there wasn't one ticket that I saw under $100. I'm like, I'm not doing it.
No.
It's crazy. So this guy never talks.
They're Maple Leaf prices. They're Maple Leaf prices in a team that has 81 games and 50,000 seats. Like,
and now Eddie's got his hands solely on the Maple Leafs too, which worries me. But anyway, go ahead, Ryan. Dive into the presser.
Look, okay, Rob, like we've talked about numerous times with you, like these guys, and you said it off the top, it's one thing to have the record that they do and the results that we've experienced here. And yes, Let's give Shapiro a shred of credit here. He is correct in saying they made the playoffs 3 of the last 5. That's right. You did. You didn't win a game, though. And so I can't have him sit there and take that. He was talking about it like it was a point of credit to be given to him, which is false because this fan base wants winners. And you said it off the top. It's one thing to have their record that they do. It's the condescending nature in which they talk down to us like we are idiots. And even the people that launch their money out and go to the games, they're not dumb. We are not stupid sports fans. We understand what's going on here. And to sit there and continue to feed us this nonsense, well, our projections showed that the year was not going to go like this. But it did, though. Our projections showed that we should have pulled Jose Barrios out of that game against Minnesota, but you shouldn't have. Well, our projection showed we could replace Marcus Semion's offense, but you could not. So I'm just so tired of the condescension of these two guys, Longley. I can't do it anymore.
Well, try having to deal with them on a near daily basis.
Oh, God bless you, guy. God bless you.
It's permeated through the PR department and the way they treat us. And the only guy, well, the players are for the most part pretty decent, but John Schneider is decent to deal with. But John Schneider is smart enough to know that he is the voice of this team, and basically by default. But he also knows what to say. He can say it in a way that it makes him sound like a normal guy, but he's never going to say anything that's in contradiction to what the front office wants him to say. And it would be nice to have him take truth serum for just for 3 games one season and have him say what he really felt after a ball game, because there's a fair bit of old school baseball manager in John Schneider, but he's just wise enough to know that the only organization in Major League Baseball that he's going to get a managerial job in is with the Blue Jays, and he intends on keeping it. But yeah. But back, I drifted from your point, but yes, it's very tough on a daily basis to deal with this condescension for sure.
So I'm going to date myself here, but I haven't been around this team since the days of Pat Gillick and Gord Ash. Now, I had a few run-ins with Gord, but Pat was always such a professional. You're telling me it's not the same?
Yeah, no, I didn't do a whole lot of. I mean. Yeah,
you weren't on. You were
unfortunately Atkins is my first the first GM that I've dealt with.
Okay.
I've had some dealings with Alex Anthopoulos since.
Yeah. He's won some championships, hasn't he?
He's won some championships, although a certain component of Blue Jay fans don't want to give him any credit for that. They say that he went to Atlanta and the team was already there and waiting for him. The team was pretty good shape when he got there, but he's been there for 7 years. So you can say that for year 1 and year 2. But no, I mean I don't understand it. I know they got a little bit of a rough ride when they both arrived here, Atkins and Shapiro. Rosie DeMano, my colleague at the Star, continues to call them the Cleveland Carpetbaggers, which is hilarious on a number of levels. But so maybe they got their back up right away, and there's certainly an old school component of the Toronto media that were loyal, might be the wrong word, but certainly were attached in some way to Alex Anthopoulos. And I think maybe that might have rubbed them the wrong way. But I think prevailing at all is the fact that they're just smarter than everybody else, and they're going to show everybody else how smart they are, and they're going to be condescending, back to that word, in how they tell us about it.
Well, and I heard the guys on Overdrive yesterday, they invited Ross Atkins on the show yesterday. Nope. And you think, okay, let's just dedicate this one day. You'll have a presser. You'll do all the radio stations. You'll do whatever you need, and then you're done. How's that? No. Come on. Come on.
They often did, but I think there's a real bitterness within the front office and the PR department in terms of the tone and the coverage for the team this year. But I mean, honestly, how could it be anything different when you have such expectations? When you end last season, it really started last year in my mind. I mean, it really went hard downhill in my mind last year when the whole Anthony Bass stuff started. And that kind of ruffled some feathers around the team and within the clubhouse. I talked to players off the record who were like, "What are we doing here?" And then obviously when the way things ended in the playoffs with Barrios getting the hook, one of the most ridiculous things Toronto sports has ever seen, which is saying a lot.
Yeah.
That was amazing. Then 3 days later, when Ross Atkins went up there and said he had nothing to do with it and threw his manager under the bus, like, whoa, what the hell's going on here? And then the whole charade about the pursuit of Shohei Ohtani, and I suppose it was real. I suppose that I know for a fact it was real. They were in heavily on him, but they dropped all other business in the process. And when they didn't get him, I guess you had to go to Daniel Vogelback, and you had to go to Kevin Kiermaier, and you had to go to Isaiah Kind-Falefa, and you had to go to ancient Justin Turner. And then all of a sudden, what are you going to do? Oh, wait a minute, we're going to have internal improvement.
Internal
improvement. Going to be just as good, if not better, than they were last year. And then what happens? 74 wins, baby. It's embarrassing.
Mm-hmm.
The internal improvement narrative and
it's
Chris,
the best. I love it. It should be a hashtag.
It's becoming one. It's becoming one. They're literally, I think that there are people campaigning to change the franchise name to the Toronto Internal Improvements. Like it's unbelievable. And the Overdrive guys are going nuts about that yesterday, Clarkey, and for good reason. And I think it was probably a PR decision by the PR team saying, like, maybe don't go on any of these shows and make this worse, because they have both gone on that show and other shows
on the regular. They have,
did not want to do it, obviously, because they can't take the heat and the bitterness aspect of them, like being bitter toward people. I mean, what do you expect? Like, this is what it is. When you perform like this, what do you expect? And it's another damning and telling thing. Rob, last time you were on, Clarkey went on a big rant about how the Baltimore Orioles have surpassed the Jays already and now they've crashed out of the playoffs, but they have they're the top farm system in the league and still have all these young guys on cheap deals for now and have a foundation that's building there. The Blue Jays, and people have been hammering on this, the only three things you need to know about this franchise right now are that they have the fourth highest payroll in baseball, they have a bottom 10 record, and they have a bottom 10 farm system. Coupled with the fact that this year they scored fewer runs than they have since, I believe, 2006, which is absolutely insane to me. And Rob, I want to start digging into some of the quotes from yesterday. And I read your story in the Toronto Sun, as everyone should, because Rob does a great job, right after the presser. And I have pulled 3 quotes out of this that drove me up the ceiling. Starting with, Ross Atkins was asked about the lack of power on the team.
Oh, this is my favorite.
He said, I don't think it's as simple as adding a power bat in the offseason. Power is a low-hanging fruit to add. So these two guys, here's my real problem with the quote. One, you had power bats. Teoscar Hernandez just set a career high in home runs. We can't have him on the team, though, because he's having too much fun. Yeah. We're having too much fun, Rob. And the other thing is, for as smart as these guys pretend they are, I don't think that Ross Atkins knows what the phrase low-hanging fruit means. Low-hanging fruit is something easy to get. Power bats are not.
Correct.
So what are you talking about? I can't imagine the collective groans that took place amongst you and your colleagues when he said that.
Yeah, and then he kept on going that was a question I asked, actually, and he kept on going, sort of mumbling his way through an answer saying, well, home runs are great and all that, but in the playoffs, it's all about contact and blah, blah, this contact in the playoffs. I'm like, don't you have to get to the playoffs? Don't you have to win more than 74 games? You only had to win 86 this year, as a matter of fact.
86.
But yeah, that was the one that really got me. Low-hanging fruit, like making it sound like it's the easiest thing in the world to get, but it's like it's not a solution to anything. Oh, the other thing he said about a power bat, guys who hit home runs, they strike out a lot too. Isn't this baseball in 2024? Like,
oh boy.
Anyway, but they're smarter. They're smarter than everybody else. They don't have to worry about hitting home runs.
Absolutely. And before I jump into another quote, on that note, I referenced Clarkey bringing up the Orioles and how they surpassed them or whatever. The Detroit Tigers? The Detroit Tigers are in the playoffs and knocked off perennial favorite Houston in a 2-game sweep in the wild card. They and the Jays on August 18th had the same record.
Yep.
The same record.
Almost 3 weeks after the trade deadline. They both sold at the trade deadline.
We can't hire AJ Hinch here. We can't have a baseball guy.
Because he's not a puppet. That's why.
He's not a numbers guy. We can't do it. Can't do it here. Nope. And so now the Tigers have surpassed them. Yep. And remember in June when the Tigers were rumored to be shopping Tarek Skubal? Can you imagine if they had done that?
They were terrible.
Triple Crown winner as a pitcher. Yeah. Cleveland has long surpassed them.
Yep.
And I specifically point Kansas City as well. And I specifically am angry about Cleveland because that's where these two bozos came from.
Exactly.
And
well, they built them to where they are today.
No, they didn't.
No,
they didn't.
Not.
I know they
did not.
No
and on that note, I want to jump into something that Mark Shapiro said just a little bit after the Atkins quote about power bats. Shapiro added, "We need to be more thoughtful in how we produce runs." Rob,
does that mean we got to get better analytics guys, or more analytics guys, or more hitting coaches, or more guys?
You got to fire the hitting coach. You got to remove Don Mattingly from the offensive coach. That's what you got to do. That's the problem.
Yeah, but Guillermo Martinez, the hitting coach who was fired 3 years ago, he was one of the brightest young hitting coaches in baseball. When Vlad Guerrero Jr. and Teoscar Hernandez and Lourdes Gurriel Jr. were hitting home runs like crazy. It comes down to talent. It doesn't come down to 100%. Process and collaboration and coaching. It comes down to talent. And the shortcoming with this team is the lack of talent. And who's to blame for that? It's the front office. There's just no way of disguising it. Mm-hmm. Talent wins baseball games. Talent builds strong organization. Talent comes from good front offices who draft and develop, who acquire the right bodies, the right players, and find a way for them to be success. And this front office has done nothing in that.
And then you hear Atkins saying they've never really had trouble attracting players to Toronto, but then you hear Gausman go off. I don't know. I think things are changing.
Yeah, I think so.
Players.
I mean, the Gausman stuff, that was I had a good conversation with him. It was a one-on-one interview about a week ago, and I think it's important to note, and I tried to make it come across in the story I wrote about it, is he wasn't there ranting. He was just answering questions, and he was answering questions honestly and transparently. That's the kind of guy he is. He's a real pro, and he's a veteran, and he's a keen observer of the game, and in his keen observations of the team that employs him rather handsomely, it's like, we got to do more. We have, and, he was very transparent. He said, we have to play better. I have to be better.
Yeah.
But we need some bats, man. And we don't just need one of them. We need two of them. And we need some veteran guys in here. He explained to me that Justin Turner, even though the guy couldn't hit when he was here, he was a huge influence in that clubhouse. Because here's a guy who's won World Series, and here's a guy who's been around forever and has been on all kinds of all-star teams and knows how to lead these younger guys. Now, you can tell me if you want that they already have one of those guys in George Springer, but I will tell you if you tell me that that's not the case, because he's not regarded as a leader at all in there. In fact, a lot of the younger players on that team just kind of roll their eyes at George. Not so much performance-based, but by his presence in the clubhouse. He's not everybody's a leader. I'll grant you that, but he is not a leader of those. If they brought him in to help young guys come along, they're not getting that from George Springer. They were getting it from Justin Turner. Justin Turner just couldn't get a base hit.
Yeah.
Well, and I mean, even back to the Astros days, like George was not regarded as one of the leaders on that team. That was Altuve, and that was Bregman by large accounts. AJ Hinch was even, as a matter of fact, quoted as saying that Alex Bregman on that 2017 World Series run and beyond was the heartbeat in terms of leadership in that clubhouse. Now,
he was the guy
that's
with
not
Stone.
Yeah, and look, hey, like we're not trying to make this an indictment of George Springer or something. He's just not that guy.
Right.
And they, every team needs that Turner, that David Justice guy that comes in, Frank Thomas, those guys that come in and are veterans that can lead a great young core onward. And I don't know where that's coming from. They had it in Teoscar. He was extremely popular. And we can go back and reflect on the trades and the Varsho thing. Like Varsho, I feel for the kid because he plays his ass off. He's just can't swing a bat at the major league level very well. And when you mix a guy in like that and trade two big pieces from different key positions on the field, particularly at catcher, where they now have loads of question marks.
Right.
When you trade that and bring a guy in who's a defensive specialist on a team that can't hit, his shortcomings are going to be even more inflated. And for Mark Shapiro to say, well, we need to be more thoughtful about how we produce runs, I'm just going to say something that I think is not a mystery to baseball people, and I'm not trying to discount how hard it is to play defense. You know what's harder than playing defense in baseball? Producing offense in baseball. Yeah. Hitting is the hardest thing to do in professional sports. Hitting a 99-mile-an-hour fastball is the hardest act you can do. I'm sorry, it just is. And for as great as this kid is defensively, it sucks for him. It's not his fault. But forever, people are going to look at it and go, that used to look like Lourdes Gurriel Jr. and Gabriel Moreno.
Yeah, I'm torn on this because I'm a big Varsho guy, but I like him. I think he's a great dude. Him. Love the way he plays defense. I love the way he works. I love his attitude. Like there's a guy who's a great fit in a clubhouse. But man, oh man, if you don't start hitting, and he's still young, he may turn it around. But like you said, Ryan, like he works his ass off and he's doggedly trying to get better, and there's just no improvement at the plate. And now of course he's recovering from shoulder surgery, and it's going to probably bleed into a little bit of next season. And then meanwhile you look at Gabriel Moreno, a guy like who's going to be a real stud of a catcher for many years, and Lourdes Gurriel, who admittedly is inconsistent at the plate, but a guy who at least can produce and get hot. Dalton Varsho can't get hot. Dalton Varsho can get the occasional hit, but he can't get hot. We've never seen a sustained 2-week hot streak at the plate from Dalton Varsho, I don't think, unless it happened when I was in Paris for the Olympics, and I'm pretty sure that it didn't happen.
It did not. It didn't. And the other thing that confuses me about that trade, and yes, I understand his defensive proficiency, is they talk about how critical it is to, be a sound defensive team and prevent runs, yet they traded a catcher who's got the best average pop-up time and can throw guys out at second.
There could be some internal improvement there.
Yes.
Yeah, there could be there. Hey, that's always the case in Toronto. I don't care what sports team you're talking about. We all need internal improvement in the GTA.
Yeah,
we need it. We need it. It's coming. What's crazy to me too, before I get to the quote, Rob, you said that, the power back quote was the one that you loved. I have the King Daddy topper for me here that really sent me through the wall. But before I touch on that, I just want to say, for these guys to have the fourth highest payroll in baseball and subsequently have a bottom 10 farm system. Some would say bottom 5 until some of the trades they made. Will Wagner looks like a pretty good young player. Joey Loperfido, exciting. Cool. Jonathan Clase, yes, neat. So maybe they're, bottom 8. It makes no sense to me that these guys think that they're so smart and yet they cannot draft and develop consistent Major League Baseball talent. It's mind-blowing.
I asked Mark Shapiro that specific question yesterday. I said, when you came here and you've been consistent throughout, that the key to success for a franchise is to draft and develop well and to have a pipeline that you're going to continually replenish the major league roster with. And I said to him, I'm pretty sure you'd agree with me that that's not the case right now. And he agreed off the top, and then went on to list all the reasons that I was wrong, that, there is actually some hope that they're coming along. Yeah, maybe we could do a better job developing some pitchers, but we as we showed in August, we've got some hitters that are coming up. And by the way, at the trade deadline, we got 13 players, and they're going to be, they're going to help stock up our farm system. This just in, the teams that were selling prospects at the draft that deadline, they're well aware of what they were giving away. They weren't giving away the guys that they felt were going to be significant major league players in the future. They were given guys that may have had a bit of a reputation in the minor leagues, but they knew had flaws. And maybe the Jays can magically enact some of their internal improvement on these guys and have them be legitimate major leaguers someday. But all I saw in August was a bunch of guys who were of the 4 or 5, 6 guys that are up there, that maybe 2 of them would become legitimate bench guys on a team. I don't see any. I don't see any of those guys. Maybe Wagner. We'll see, but he'd be the only one that I could see being a potential starter on any major league team right now. So where is the depth? It just doesn't exist. And then see, that's the problem. They wanted to use injuries as a bit of an excuse yesterday. But every team has injuries, as we know, and the Jays weren't hit harder than anybody else by any means. But the mark of a good organization is that you have the depth, that when you have injuries, you can bring them up and they will produce. I mean, look, you guys mentioned Detroit. Look what happened to them. They've sold off a bunch of guys at the trade deadline, and then they brought up guys from their minor league system to give them an opportunity to play. Guess what? They swept the Houston Astros. They're the hottest team in baseball right now. It's nuts.
I just can't believe it. It makes no sense. The other thing quickly that on the prospect front, these guys, like the hypocrisy too, like people forget they drafted that Austin Martin kid. I believe he was 5th or 4th overall.
Pretty high, yeah.
And when they got here and Alex Anthopoulos was ousted, the big rumor at the time, and Mark Shapiro confirmed it, was that he was upset that Alex Anthopoulos emptied out the prospect cupboards to go on that run to the ALCS. And he said at the time, I don't believe that that's a conducive way to build a baseball team for consistent success, which you just referenced. Well, like 2 years later, they turn around and they trade their top prospect for Barrios, who has been good at times. Has been good at times, but he did the same damn thing. So, and mind you, he got back at the time a young, consistent player, and I like Jose Barrios. I'm glad he's a Blue Jay. He's one of the few guys I'm glad are here, but it's just the hypocrisy's outrageous. This is the one that really sent me over the top. I read this yesterday, and my girlfriend looked at me and was like, "Why are you so mad?" I was like, "Listen to this." Here's the elongated quote from Mark Shapiro. Ross needs to be better. I need to be better. Our entire baseball operations need to be better. But I also think about the fact we were in the playoffs 3 of the last 5 years. And to me, that's not grounds to make a change. He was asked about replacing Ross Atkins. Shapiro, this is the King Daddy topper. Shapiro went on to say, if I felt there was a better alternative to run our baseball operation, I'd make that change.
Yeah.
Dude, what? You're the smartest guy in the room, and you don't see a problem here, Mark?
And you've just admitted your GM needs to be better.
There's no one else in the baseball world that's better than this. No one.
Apparently not.
You don't know anyone.
There's no one better at being a puppet.
Yeah,
I can't.
Mark Shapiro's running this show. There's no doubt in my mind.
Yeah, I agree. I mean,
that
he signs off on everything anyway.
Yeah,
that one is the worst in my opinion.
Yeah, it's pretty bad.
I was the most insulted by it than anything else he's ever said, Rob.
I love when he talks about 3 of the last 5 years we've been in the playoffs. Of course, he's not going to mention this, but 3 of the last 7, they've had 76 wins or fewer, including the 74 of this year. So, I mean, do you like? It's almost like, and he has said this, and he danced around it a little bit yesterday because they don't talk about winning the division that much anymore. Mark Shapiro's philosophy is, all you got to do is be an 86 to 89 win team and get in the playoffs, because it's the team that gets hot in October, late September and October, that tends to do well. Well, he's not wrong with that, right? We're seeing that with the Tigers this year. We saw it with the Arizona Cardinals. We saw it with the Philadelphia Phillies. We've seen it over the last 3 or 4 years. We've seen the red hot team late in the season, have inordinate success. But I mean, how can that be your overriding philosophy on building a team? As I think I used the words in there, and Ryan, you have it in front of you. I think I said, "Aim low, boys, aim low." Like, really? Like, is this what you want? Is this what you aspire to? To sneaking in the playoffs and hoping against hope that you're gonna get hot in October because you don't need to hit home runs in October. All you need is to hit for contact because power is low hanging fruit. What?
Rob, do you think baseball is the hardest team sport, at least North American sport, to be a general manager for?
Um, that's a good question, Clarkey. Uh,
It is.
I think. I mean, in
Well,
terms
they
of
pay me the big bucks.
in terms of scope, probably on a number of levels. One is it's 162, so that's a lot of games. That's a long
Mhm.
season. You got to ride a lot of highs and a lot of lows, and you can't panic, and you have to have depth and organizationally to be able to cope with that. But beyond that, just the number of bodies that you have, the number of teams. No sport has nearly as many farm teams as baseball. It's not even close. And they've scaled it back a little bit over the last couple of years. But when
Mhm.
you've got what do the Jays have 5 farm teams now? I mean, that's a lot of you go down there to spring training, and there's sort of the main clubhouse where there's 40 guys for spring training, but there's and I'm not exaggerating, there's 150 other guys around. They're on these back fields and they look like I mean, some of them look like they're 16-year-old kids because they're not much older than that. And then,
Mhm.
so it's a lot to manage and it's a lot to develop. And, um, you're starting just the nature of the draft and development program in baseball. You're drafting guys that you're not. It's starting to change a little bit, but by and large, you're drafting guys that you're not going to see at the big league level for 2, 3, 4, sometimes 5 years. So you're not even when you're acquiring bodies like that, don't really have a full idea of what you're getting. So yeah, I think so. I think in terms of complexity anyway, baseball GM's job is as difficult as anybody in professional sports.
Yeah, I would agree with that. And I mean, even just the scouting aspect of it, where you've got the international pool, the
That too,
regular
yeah.
draft, high
Yeah.
school kids, college kids, minor
Yeah.
league options. Like there's a lot of stuff that
Yeah,
they have to keep track of for
for sure.
sure. But these guys are bungling it every step of the way. And Rob, normally I would ask you to end this off, like, where do we go from here? But I feel like I don't even need to do that because nothing's changing.
Well,
I
let's
know
ask,
exactly where
can
we're
we
going.
can we get any better? Like, can this team turn this around?
Well, they can. I mean, baseball is like that. I mean, if
Yes.
they get 2 decent bats in the offseason and the rotation could be really good next year.
Yeah.
And if Bo Bichette is better, I don't expect George. They seem to think that George, or say they think that George Springer will be better. I don't. But Bo Bichette
Internal
should have a
improvement.
better year. I mean, they could turn it around and be an 89 win team again. But I mean, that's far from guaranteed. And I don't know. Like. I know we're almost done, but like just the indifference, and I wrote about this today, and it could have been posturing, but when Shapiro was asked about Vladdy, essentially,
Mhm.
is he a
Yeah.
generational player? And like he's basically pouring cold water on it. Like yeah, maybe he will be, but he's good. It's like why do you can't you just be a little bit more effusive in that? I understand you don't want to say he's the
Yeah.
second coming of Juan Soto or whatever great player you want to name, because you're going to try to sign him for, whatever amount of years at whatever amount of money. But you don't have to come across like that. And Vlad is for all his confidence and all his ability, he's just like a bit of a sensitive dude. He took it very difficult. I guess it was 4 years ago now when people were constantly criticizing him about his conditioning. And I mean, he took it personally when the Jays took him to arbitration last year, to the point where he went to the arbitration hearing. Not many players do that because they don't want to hear what the organization has against them. But he wanted to sit down there and listen to what the case was against him. And I have a hunch, I yet have no way of proving this, but I have a hunch that once the Jays found that he was going to be in the hearing room, that they might have like went through the notes and said, okay, maybe let's not mention this one and this one and this one.
Yeah.
We don't want to piss him off royally. Honestly, that wouldn't shock me in the slightest because Vlad did win his case. I think the Jays offered him 18 million and he got 19 and a half or whatever. It's going to be 29 million this year, by the way. That's what they're projecting the arbitration to be, is 29 million. So if you're going to have to pay him 29 million next year anyways, why don't you just bite the bullet and just, sign him to 7 years, 400 mil, whatever it takes. Unless Vlad doesn't really want to do it. Unless Vlad wants to say, screw you guys, I'm going to free agency. I mean, it's cart before the horse too. Like Vlad might be saying, well, before I talk turkey with you guys, let's see what you're going to do. Like, what kind of players are you going to bring around here to help me win?
Yeah.
Whereas the Jays would, if you could go the other way around, you lock Vlad up for 7 years, then you bring in guys. But they find themselves in a pickle with him because
they got to bring in guys no matter what, right? Like
they do have to bring in guys.
It shouldn't matter.
Yeah.
So they need to prove to him. To me, he's in the driver's seat.
Yeah, but they got to bring him back. I mean, 5 years ago, the idea when he broke into the major leagues, the idea of him not being around here forever would have been ludicrous to Jays fans. 3 years ago, when he hit 48 home runs, would be like, yeah, he's the future, man. We're going to completely build around him. Even like 6 days ago, when he was in pursuit of 200 hits, it's like, Vlad's the man. How can we let him go? And then you're Mark Shapiro, and you answer a question about Vlad Guerrero that way. Yeah,
because he's afraid. He's just afraid to say anything.
He is. They both are.
He really is.
It's good comedy. Right. It's good for sports writing. I mean, it's what It's you want to talk about low hanging fruit.
Yeah, I know. It's one of those things.
Like, this is a sports writer. It's like send. It's the easiest column you're ever going to write.
It was always more fun. It was always more fun doing radio when they sucked.
Oh, for sure. But we don't want that anymore.
Or win.
Yeah, one extreme or the other. Yeah, for sure.
Please. And on that note, Rob, I mean, you speak about comedy. The cover of The Sun today. Producer Adam, the cover of The Sun is just brilliant.
It is unbelievable.
Brilliant.
Now, let me ask you this.
And
go
losers.
ahead. I want to ask Rob, though, how do you think Mark and Ross took this?
I wouldn't think they would have been very pleased, but fortunately, from my perspective, I think that the people at that level in professional sports are well aware that the writer isn't responsible for the headline.
Yeah, no, for sure.
Certainly not for the cover, but yeah, they would.
Like, are they whipping it against the wall, or are they shaking their head? Or I'd love to know.
I'd love to know too. Like, I don't think you'd ever get the honest answer. I do know that you see a lot less of Ross Atkins this year than ever before, and I do know that he's very thin-skinned and he takes stuff hard. I mean, just by some of the reactions he's had to. Not so much lately, but he has reacted to some of the things I've written in the past, and he takes it hard. And I know he reads a lot of it. They get their clippings every day. They still do that, and he reads a lot of it. And they're not going to give him the front cover, but it would have been made aware. He would have been made aware.
I'm sure he saw it. Sure he saw it. Now, they had Richard Griffin there before. Richard was the PR guy. Who's in charge now?
You might know her, Andrea Goldstein. Do you know her from your Rogers days at all?
No.
She was in charge. She was the corporate PR person at Rogers.
Okay.
And she moved over to baseball. This might be her third year now, third if not fourth. And she heads a department. They've got a pretty strong, solid department there of guys that are guys and girls who are helpful.
Well, our buddy Rodney, is Rodney still there?
Rodney's travel secretary now.
Oh, well, there you go.
Yeah, he got a big
Bill Brio.
Yeah,
good for him.
But they take their cues from the front office. So it's like, I mean, they try to help spin stuff, I'm sure too. But front office wants things done a certain way. That's how they have to do it. And
I'm sure.
There you go.
I'm sure they do. Anyway,
I would love to reach out to Ross and know the analytics of his anger levels on different days. I'm sure he could provide us his analytics. And I mean, hey, they've got an offensive coordinator, although not anymore. They removed that odd football title from Donnie Baseball. Maybe they need a newspaper coordinator. They need a newspaper coordinator. Just keep these headlines away.
Wieners and losers, baby. Wieners and losers.
Wieners. Yeah, they sell a lot of hot dogs. That's where that came from, right?
Thank God. I wonder what the analytics are on that. Absolutely. Rob Longley, our friend. We love having him on to talk baseball and to talk about the Jays. Quickly before we let you go, two significant deaths in the baseball world. My Oakland Athletics. And Pete Rose, Charlie Hustle. We've asked you this before about, whether he should have been in the Hall of Fame. I was always staunch. I just believe he should have been in the Hall of Fame. That what he did on the field, he should be in the Hall of Fame. I genuinely hope they do not put this guy in posthumously. I think that would be so insulting, but it does feel like something Rob Manfred would do.
Yeah.
Your opinion on both these, losing the Athletics and losing Charlie Hustle?
I think I hate to be predictable, but in terms of Charlie Hustle, I couldn't agree with you more on every level. The only thing I'll add to it is I mean, obviously he paid for his crime and it wasn't acceptable. But once baseball kind of admitted to itself and to the world that gambling is just fine and opened the doors to being partners with online casinos and such, then it's like, okay, we got to let this guy in. It should have been done long before that, but now it's just a ridiculous contradiction. As for the A's, I know, we've talked about how much you've loved that franchise, and it is really sad. I mean, I guess I was there for, I think, 3 separate road trips over my time covering the Jays, and stadium's a dump and all that, but the history there is fantastic, and even how it's attached to the Blue Jays from those memorable playoff series and from some of the connections over the years. But it became particularly difficult over the last number of years, and you've shared your frustration on this, especially Ryan. It's in terms of having good players develop. Like here's an organization that can actually draft and develop players, and then they get good and have some success, and they can't keep them, or choose not to keep them, or refuse to pay to keep them. And that's the sadness of it all. And it's you feel bad for the sports fans of Oakland, who've really had quite a kick over the last few years with Sacramento and obviously the Raiders. And I've been to an NFL playoff game, an AFC championship with a Raiders game there. And like, you won't find a more rabid environment in all of sports. It's just sad, but the A's having to leave, it's too bad. I mean, there's been too many seasons of 5,000, 6,000 people in the building, but that's not the fans of Oakland's fault. That's the ownership.
Yeah, he drove them all away. John Fisher,
yep,
congratulations.
Sure
and rest in peace, Pete Rose. Longley, thanks for doing this, brother. I'm sure we'll be talking throughout the off season, the winter meetings. There's always something to talk about with this collection of wieners and losers.
Maybe next week when they sign Vladdy to a 7-year deal.
That would be one small positive step forward. Please.
Do not hold your breath.
They're probably on vacation, those guys.
We're not holding our breath, brother. And you don't do it either. Rob, thanks so much for your time as always, man. This has been great.
Awesome, guys. We'll do it again.
Thanks, Rob.
All right, we'll take a quick break. When we come back, Clarkey and I got to discuss some of the goings on in NHL preseason. My God, it's fight night every single night. And of course, we'll touch on our couch potatoes. I have a very big one. Stay tuned on Instigating. Welcome back to Instigating with Clarkey and Drury, brought to you by our friends at Larry Hudson Chevrolet Buick GMC, 1000 Wallace Avenue. Easy to remember, 1000 Wallace Avenue here in Listowel. And they're going to give you 1,000% when you go in there, man. They're going to give you a great effort. You go in there, you see Clarkey, you see our friend. Come on, hey, Larry Hudson's. That's where you go. The deals are hot, Clarkey. They're always hot.
Well, of course they are, because we say they are. They have to be hot. Right?
And they are.
Right now, we have some sale on trucks. 0% finance. Again, we've said it before. Not a lot of places offer 0%. Like, what's the
No.
bank rate down? 4 point something? 0% up to 72 months on some select 2024 half-ton trucks, up to $15,000 off, or 0%. Not both, one or the other. So if you got the cash, get 15 grand off. You need to finance, 0%. Good combination. One or the other. Take your pick. Come and ask for me. Come on in. 1000 Wallace Avenue North.
Absolutely. And Clarkey and the folks there are going to give you 1,000%. Like I said, it's going to be great.
Yeah.
Deals are hot.
Where's your
Speaking of
mom?
half-ton, how's my mom? Mom's good. When the time is right, I'll steer her over towards you. Mom's busy, man. Mom is a busy lady. Okay. She's got me to deal with.
I guess.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a lot. It's a lot. Okay.
I get it.
Firstborn problems. Okay. I'm a lot. Speaking of a lot, and speaking of half-ton trucks, the half-ton trucks, it looks like they've been flying around on the ice in NHL preseason. My God, the violence and the fighting has been, holy cow, it's been a topic. It's been overblown. Like, man, oh man, there's some testy games going on in this preseason, highlighted by that Leafs-Habs game. And Oliver Perret gets a chunk of Line and Arbor Jackeye goes swinging after. What's been your impression, not just of that game, but just the level of violence we're seeing in this preseason, Clark? It's ridiculous.
Well, I've only seen one game because I was out of town.
Yes.
As you know, I was out of town, so I only saw one game, and it was that game where Perry, or whatever his name is, a guy I'd never heard of and maybe never will hear from again. And honestly, like, if you watch that in live speed, okay, there's no way he purposely stuck his knee up. His skate did not move from the time that Line came over the line. Sure, he went to hit him, but when you go to hit someone and shoulder someone, your legs move, okay? Now, it's too bad for Line. Like, I'm not a huge Patrick Line fan. I really am not, but I hate to see injuries. It's Habs versus Leafs. The comments online got out of control. It was
there's
ridiculous.
A lot.
It was absolutely ridiculous, some of the comments. And, I read today, or maybe even Line said it, that Perry texted him afterwards, said there's no way he meant to do that, hoping he's well.
Yeah.
And that's good that Line said that, because maybe some of the stupid Montreal Canadian fans will, chill a little bit and not. Anyway, I don't know. Jackeye, he did grab him and start pounding him. Perry could have been aware that was going to happen a little bit more as well.
He should have been. Now that said, I didn't love his hit. I was a little on the other side of it. I didn't love it, but we don't need to dig into that. But I also didn't love what old Arbor did, and I respect this kid. I watched him play in Kitchener. He is a good story.
That's all he can do.
Yes.
He's not that great. He's not that good at all.
He'd be a guy that'd be welcome with open arms if he was a Maple Leaf, because that's exactly the stuff that they don't have generally, right?
Yeah, but you also need to play
he's a
defense.
No, I know, but he's a good story from all of his humble beginnings and working at Costco and all. It's cool. I didn't love what he did though, and the punching with the gloves on did not sit well with me. I don't like that.
Yeah.
Like, spin the guy around and square him up and say, you're doing this. Like, I didn't like the jumping thing is not, I didn't love it. Anyway.
No. Anyway.
It's just been wild.
The next game.
Oh, against Ottawa.
When I saw the Stützle hit, I thought, oh my, but I guess he didn't hit him in the head. But then he got
lucky.
Right, he did, absolutely. Then Tkachuk grabbed him, and he kept his gloves on again. Do you think this guy's got a hand injury? Like, why is he keeping his gloves on in fights?
I don't know, and I'm going to say this, like, just off the hop, because I know you're trying to kind of be sarcastic here. The kid's tough, and he fights guys. Like,
I'm not saying he didn't. I'm sure next week we're going to see Reeves and him go at it. I'm sure that's going to happen.
We probably will. Will. And it'll be must watch TV. Absolutely. I'll be tuned in, but yeah, He rides a line. He did it in the OHL. He had some. Let me tell you, like the league office was busy with him in the Ontario Hockey
Well, do you
League.
think he should have got suspended for what he did with Pare by jumping him
I wouldn't have had a problem with it. I'll tell you that. I mean, I'm going to tell you this, dude. I'm done. I'm not doing this anymore. I can't do this whole, well, the player safety department. I can't do it anymore. I can't even comment on the decisions they make because they're so asinine most of the time. I can't do it. And I'm not doing it this year.
You will. I guarantee you will.
I'm just going to sit there and go,
in Washington will get suspended again, and you'll comment on it.
Watch your mouth now. That's a Stanley Cup champion. You don't talk about those guys. You're not familiar with what that's like. Okay? You don't talk about those guys.
I am familiar, but he's going to get suspended again.
He might, and if he does, I'll just say, oh wow, they gave him 7 games. Oh,
I don't think because
I can't do this.
I don't think you'll say that. I think it'll be a little more animated. But let's see.
I'll just say this. If you're asking me, would I have had an issue if they said, oh, he's suspended the rest of the preseason and the opening?
What would have been the big deal?
I would have said no. I don't have a problem with that.
No, exactly.
Anyway. Let's move on. Look, we've got some time left here, and I want to have some extra space here for the couch potatoes. And I always let you go first.
Okay.
We got a little less than 10 minutes left.
Okay.
Your couch potato, I would like for you to dig in. I'm going to need a couple minutes.
Okay. Because mine's pretty quick. Mine's pretty quick. Okay. What? I'm just going this time. I'm going to the lighter side of sports because that's what it should be about, right? Fun. It should be fun. And I love when players have fun. And sometimes they do it in inconspicuous ways. Mm-hmm. And this past week, and I can't even say he's one of my favorite guys, but he's a character. And Marc-Andre Fleury decided to go in disguise and be part of the what do you call them? Not groundskeepers, the ice sweepers.
The ice crew.
The ice crew. Thank you. And there he is, right at the back for the Minnesota Wild, cleaning the ice. And apparently, look at him in disguise. And
there he is. Yeah.
Like that's just fun. That's great. That's what it's all about, right? And
hold on, really quick though. Yeah. When you started this little diatribe, did you say he's not one of my favorite guys? Did you say that about Marc-Andre Fleury?
Yeah, he's not.
What's your he's like the most he might be the most universally loved player in the league.
That's fine. I don't mind, but he's just not one of my favorite guys. Like, I don't know why. He's just not. I've never said, I love this guy.
But well, you should though, because like you're a goalie guy.
You can't tell me what I should do and shouldn't do, but I get it.
Like, come on.
Those kind of things make me more endearing to the person. Put it that way.
Yes.
He's winning me over. Okay. He's winning me over.
At 40 years old, he's winning me over after all the other great stuff he's done.
He's finally winning me over.
The Vegas run in 2018 was not.
I'm not saying he hasn't been a good goalie. I'm not saying that.
I just find it odd. He's like such a beloved guy. I even like him, and he was a Penguin.
I know.
Pains me to say that.
That is crazy. That is crazy. Anyway, Marc-Andre Fleury, my couch potato of the week. Please.
I love it.
Athletes, have more fun out there. Do some more things like Marc-Andre Fleury did. There you go.
I want to make a special mention quickly, Clarkey here.
Yeah.
You're an honorary couch potato. Okay, you're not my actual.
You either make me one or you don't. You can't.
You're honorary because you were away last week for something very special, weren't you?
Yeah.
Well,
do you want me to brag about it? You can.
Yes. No, I'd like you to brag about it. Clarkey and Sue. No, we all saw the video. We don't have a clip. We all saw.
You're not prepared.
We all saw the incredible proposal video that I bore witness to live on the beach in Grand Bend. And Clarkey and Sue, congrats. You guys eloped while you were out west on top of a mountain. I'm pretty sure Adam can edit this in. He'll edit it in.
Okay,
an incredible scene with the video. Really, really cool.
We rented a helicopter. And I got to tell you, I do have to tell you.
Yes.
I didn't think I was getting A, to the top of the mountain, or B, back. It
Uh-huh.
was, and as it can be, it was incredibly windy. And this helicopter was getting blown around more than I've ever felt anything get blown around. And as we're going, we sort of went between a couple of mountains and then up. That mountain's like right there, 50 yards away. And I thought, that's it. That's it. Yeah, I thought it was, I was very nervous in that helicopter. And I've been in helicopters before, but this one was crazy, but it was a great, great day in the end. So there you go.
Incredible stuff. Congratulations, buddy.
Thank you.
We're so stoked for you. You and Sue, thumbs up. But look, I have to be
Yeah.
selfish here.
Okay.
On most occasions, you and Sue just would be the straight up couch potato.
Well, I figured.
I would honor you guys, but listen, I have to be selfish. I have to be selfish this week. And give me this, Clarkey. My A's are dead. I got my black hat, and so I feel like a funeral procession here. And it's been very negative this week. Very negative with the Blue Jays nonsense. My A's are dead. It's sad. I just want to highlight a couple special people here, okay?
Okay.
Now listen, producer Adam, let's start this off. Look, my lovely girlfriend Kate orchestrated some stuff. There's me and my best friend Rob. There's me and Rob out in Vancouver. That guy's my best friend. He got married this summer too. Everybody's getting married. How about that?
There you go.
There's Rob. Let's filter on to the next one. There's a number of people I got to thank here, okay? So let's keep this rolling. There's me and Jeremy. That's Rob's brother-in-law. There's us heading into a concert, funnily enough. Jeremy and I off to see a concert. Move on, and we've got Rob's sister, married to Jeremy. There's Liz, my beautiful friend Liz. Elizabeth, I love you. Tremendous. And then finally, of course, the architect of this great couch potato event this week, there's my lovely woman, Kate. And the reason why I'm highlighting all of these people is because something very significant has occurred.
What?
And on this day, what day is it? It's Thursday, October 3rd. On this day, I found out that these four orchestrated a plot behind my back
Okay.
to purchase me a ticket to go and see Oasis. I'm going to see Oasis. I can't even believe it. I'm going to get emotional right now. I can't believe that these people have done this for me. I'm overwhelmed with excitement. Clarkey and producer Adam, everybody knows this. Oasis, they're my favorite band. And on this show, I made them the couch potato. What was that, like a month ago when they announced they were actually getting back together?
Yeah.
And I get to go. They're playing 2 dates. They had to add a second date here in Toronto. I just can't believe it. I'm so thankful.
I hope for your sake.
Yes, I know what you're going to say, that they don't get in a fist fight and break up. I get it.
Yeah.
I understand. But just the fact that these people have made that. Liz and Jeremy FaceTimed me earlier today and we're like, we've got a ticket for it. It's very surprising.
You have to go by yourself?
No, we're all going together. We're all going together, and I wouldn't want it any other way. No,
Good.
I'm not going by myself. But we're all going together.
Okay, well, congrats. When is it?
I wouldn't. August 24th. It's a Sunday night. To my boss, Scott, I will not be at work the next day. Sunday, August 24th. Do not expect to see me on Monday the 25th. I'm just overwhelmed. It's really something, man. They're special. They mean a lot to me. They're a special band to a lot of people, and that's evident by the ticket demand. It's really been incredible. But I wanted to highlight those people: Rob, Liz, Jeremy, my girlfriend Kate.
Congrats. Way to go.
I can't keep going because this show's gonna get off the rails here.
Yeah, that's good.
I'm gonna have a recovery. So I just really wanted to say thanks to them. Really great stuff. Now, quickly here, we're going to end the show. Now, remember, and I know you have something to say. Remember, you can watch the show Friday nights at 8, Sunday nights at 9 with our friends on Whiteman. That's channel 6 for Whiteman subscribers. We debut on our YouTube channel Friday nights at 9. Follow us on social media at Instigating Pod. You can find the podcast version on all your favorite podcast apps. Clarkey, you have something you'd like to relay?
I do, and it's going to be tough for me to say.
Wow.
No, Adam, you can put up what I gave you, but I lost a really good friend this week.
Yeah.
As you know, I used to go to the hockey games all the time to watch with Harry, and I'm gonna miss him. I'm gonna miss him immensely. His wife Pam, his daughters Lauren and Tosh. It's been a tough week, and I'm gonna miss him.
Absolutely. Well, dude, I know that he really valued your friendship, and I know it was felt mutually among you and a large number of people. So rest in peace, Harry. Thanks for watching.